Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the 42nd edition of Cinema Effect. I'm Zach, and I'm joined by my fellow Hans Zimmer appreciator, Jaden.
G'day.
G'day, and PTA's number one fanboy, aka Fitzy, aka Liam.
Hello.
Hello. For those who don't know, this is the Cinema Effect crew. We're a podcast. We review and talk about a different movie every single Monday. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and I feel like a total dumbass because this week I was looking through after the feedback stuff we got. I was looking through what new things can I just do with the show that I wasn't doing that might make it better or some shit. And I sort of thought, are we on Google Podcasts? So then I'm like, okay, how do we get us on Google Podcasts? And then I realized we were already on Google Podcasts. We were on Google Podcasts this entire time. It was like an automatic thing that happens. It just transfers over. So we're on Google Podcasts. If anyone listens there, I don't know if a single soul does, but just letting you know.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah. It's like it's I think the default for Android phones as opposed to, if you don't want to download Spotify or something. So we're there as well. So subscribe and all those things if you enjoy the show. But we've got our specific question of the week. We, of course, always want you to write in your questions, thoughts, reviews to the show for next week's film. But our specific question prompt of the week will be, what aspect do you appreciate most in movies? We're talking about anything, any aspect of film that you really appreciate. We're talking about music, editing, sound, acting, cinematography, story, all the things that we talk about most on the show. But what really connects with you most? Let us know in the comments. And of course, just thank you for anyone who left the... I should have said this last week, so I made sure to set a reminder that I do it now. Thank you to anyone who left feedback on the survey that we had at the end of last year. We appreciate it. We had a fun chat about it last week, and we're doing some little things about it, so we appreciate all of the feedback there. But this week, we're reviewing a little film called Munich, which opened in the US on the 23rd of December 2005. It was directed by Stephen Spielberg. Ever heard of him? Genre is a historical drama, and the synopsis reads, based on the true story of the Black September aftermath, about the 5 men chosen to eliminate the ones responsible for that fateful day. Jaden, you had seen Munich before. We hadn't. Let's start with you.
It's a film I really like. Like what starts off as Israeli propaganda gradually takes steps back, and it becomes a pretty good film about morality and ethics of war, and the futility and the tragic nature of it and stuff. I feel like because it goes out of its way, but at the start, like really vehemently vilifies the Palestinians at the start. That like some of the backpedaling doesn't fully take hold, and like that balanced perspective it tries to eventually take on doesn't really come into it fully. So I think that holds the film back a bit, but it's nonetheless a film I really like.
Cool. I have to say that, as ignorant as I am to almost everything, I just completely coincidentally didn't know what this movie was about. Sort of learnt a lot about just the Israeli-Palestinian and all that, the conflict in that region that's been going on forever, very recently. So that was very helpful for this movie. I would have been pretty confused otherwise. But anyway, Fitzy, what'd you think?
I liked it as well. I don't know.
It doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement.
I liked it.
Okay. I think everything about the movie is really good. I think about this movie a lot as a thumbs up, check it out, watch it, it's good. But I don't know. I don't know if anything quite ascends to great or amazing for me. And maybe that's just some subjective things that we'll get into. But yeah, I don't know. I liked the movie. People should check it out. I appreciate that it's a Spielberg movie because it does feel in some ways not, prototypical Spielberg, which is cool. But yeah, I don't know. I liked a lot about it, so it's a thumbs up from me, generally speaking. So, I don't know. Should we start with Avner, Eric Bana? He's the protagonist of this movie. Do we know, because I know Spielberg casted him from Hulk. Was this sort of one of, outside of Hulk, one of his sort of bigger roles, in his early career? Because Hulk was one of his first things, and Oh no, I'm just saying this out loud because I'm sort of surprised that Spielberg would cast him as a lead in this sort of historical drama, an Australian actor, someone I don't think was huge at the time, but
I mean, you might
I
have.
don't know. I enjoyed him in the movie.
I think Chopper got him a bit of recognition as well, so could have been off that as well. You know.
That's when he played like that when he played the gangster, right? The
Yeah.
Australian gangster. Cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't know if like it was a movie called Chopper about something something else. Okay, cool.
You know, he was also in like Troy and like Black Hawk Down before that. So like,
Oh, okay, okay. So he was on a bit of a
so
roll.
Black Hawk Down was probably like a bit of a push as well.
Yeah, okay, that's good. That's good. I mean, look at him now. He flies under the radar a bit these days. He's back in Australian films, which is cool. But I don't know. I liked him in this movie. I was surprised by him in this movie. I thought that I don't know, all his accents were good. He did a lot of accents and different things, and he had some cool emotional scenes. And as someone who hasn't seen him act a whole lot, I thought he was really solid in the movie. I was surprised by him. Yeah.
I think it's a pretty passionate, performance, and I think it's like really emotion fueled, and I think that's what I often feel like lacks in Spielberg movies. I know a lot of people disagree with that, especially with like stuff like Schindler's List and stuff, but like I feel like his movies are often just not necessarily like devoid of emotion, but like they are just a bit bland in that aspect. And I feel like this kind of, in terms of passion, I feel like this is kind of like one where it excels the most.
Yeah, for sure. And this movie, given sort of the subject matter and what it's trying to convey to the audience, really needed that, I think. If it was devoid of that sort of lead performance, it wouldn't have worked nearly as well as it did, with it being about, violence and the pointlessness of it all and the effects of that and the trauma of that. He needed to really bring it in that respect, and he did. I felt like in the final half an hour or so, and he has other emotional moments, but when he starts to lose, spoilers, when people start to die, starts to lose team members, I really thought he sold that stuff really well, and then when he becomes really paranoid in New York, I thought it was all really good. So I guess that's one of the main things I did like about the movie is that it seems to. I don't know if this can. Yeah, I don't know. This is sort of the way I interpret it anyway. It just seems to take the position that through the perspective of Jewish characters, which is a really interesting sort of thing to hone in on when you're tackling themes like this, but that violence and retaliation, because that's the entire operation that Avner and his crew go on. It's just about, well, they think anyway, it's about killing the people responsible for the terrorist attack against their people. So, but then obviously what happens and how confronting that is for some of the characters, how they experience a lot of loss on the way, and they sort of start to question it as it happens. It sort of just presents the idea that, I don't know, that level of retaliation against what is perceived to be injustice against them is never really justified, despite past wrongs. And given how sort of persecuted historically the Jewish people are, I thought that was, I don't know, quite a clever thing to do thematically with the story when you're tackling cultures like this and the conflict that we're in here. So it's one of my highlights of the movie, I thought, as I was interpreting it that way.
I think it evolves very slowly into that kind of thing, because it's like I was saying, it starts off as a bit of propaganda, but I think like it gradually takes steps to becoming that kind of film that you were just talking about there. And I think it's pretty rewarding to stick with it that long. I mean, like, it's a pretty decent length of 2 hours 40, so it's a pretty rewarding experience to get that kind of emotion and that build up as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Because at the start, I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, cool, we're on a cool spy mission, a Secret Service mission, and that's pretty neat. And then as the first few assassinations take place, I thought that stuff in the early. I do think the movie ends up being a bit long, but the stuff in the first hour I thought was really well paced, where I feel like we spend just the right amount of time with each target, before we move on to the next one. And I was engrossed in that, but you're right. Then by the time we get to the end, stuff I wouldn't have even seen coming at the start, when he has the conversation with his mother, and she's basically like, this is all about a home for us as a people. Israel is our home. It's worth taking whatever it takes, and she doesn't want to hear what he had to do for it. I thought that was all, like you're saying, Jane, that was really rewarding as a thematically for me watching it, because I don't know, the fact you don't want to face what has to be done, but it had to be done. Is it worth it or not? Those kind of ideological questions being thrown out there by the movie.
I was going to just say it now because you just briefly mentioned about how the mother talks about home and stuff. Like when he's talking to, I think Eli was the Palestinian agent's name, and he says, oh wait, sorry, or was it Louis that said, I can't recall, but they said where he's like, he was saying that it costs dearly, but home always does, and like that kind of aspect of the film as well, and it shows like the fight's just going to go on until obviously till today it's still happened 70 years like later. So I think it's really I don't know. I think a lot of the stuff in the film is really like a lot of like lines like that are pretty great. And
it's well thought out.
She talks like the president at the start, is talking about they need to display that they're strong, that there are consequences for killing Jews in the modern day and stuff like that. So like I just think a lot of the lines are really, I think it's really well written.
Yeah, definitely. And the fact that it's, a movie set in the 70s, about, about cultures and the conflict of the cultures that predates that significantly. And it's a movie that came out in 2005, and 15 years on, it still feels relevant. That's a testament to it, I think. Fitzy, I need do you have a favourite character or something? Anything that stands out? I like Daniel Craig a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say Craig is probably my favourite. Like, I don't think I've seen him. It feels like a kind of unique role for him, but maybe I've just seen him in enough movies. But
what, playing a Secret Service agent? You haven't seen him in that role before.
He does feel significantly different, though.
He does, yeah.
He's a character with ideology, I guess, or like very adamant beliefs, and he kind of contrasts with the other characters in the team, like what's that other guy with the glasses, and the guy that gets killed by the one that they think is like, well, they don't think he's a secret agent. They kind of throw that at him. One of the characters throws that at him, and like just
the one that worries.
Yeah, the one that worries. Yeah.
The Bob, is that the bomb maker one?
Nah, Kieran Hines' character.
The guy from There Will Be Blood. That
character.
One. Oh, the King Beyond the Wall. Yeah,
that one. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah,
Mance
Raider. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and There Will Be Blood. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought the cast, the team had a lot of chemistry. The boys together. So
hell yeah. Yeah, I agree. I thought it was an Australian accent at first, but Daniel Craig, it was like a South African accent.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah.
It was cool. Yeah. I like that.
Because like that's why like like when like the like in Athens, like when those guys come into the room, like he says that they're all like from ETA or whatever they are, and then he has to specify that Daniel Craig is not from there because his accent is so different. Like he specifies that he's African. Right. It's like that. Yeah.
This movie's got a lot of really cool moments, I think. Especially when it comes to the actual assassination of each target. The one where they have to plant the bomb in the phone and everything that happens with the signal being, the truck's in the way and the girl runs back into the house. And I thought all that stuff was really well directed. It was really tense for me. I enjoyed that one a lot. The other one with the what was it? The bed bomb, and the bomb was way too powerful, and Eric Bana got totally blasted in the other room. I thought that was really cool. Wasn't expecting that. So as we move on, and I feel like each target we spend 10, 15 minutes sort of with each one as we go. It sort of keeps the movie going on pretty seamlessly. I wasn't really too bored. Maybe in the as we get in towards the latter half of the second act, when he visits the French dude's house, I'm like, what are we doing? But when it comes to the actual operation itself, I was engaged.
I quite liked the bit at Louis' house, whatever the dad's name was. I can't recall, but I quite enjoyed that. I think it provided, it provided a good context for why, how Louis operates and why he's helping him despite all that stuff. And I think I enjoyed that scene.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I did like how it sort of came down to they're using them as a source was sort of compromising them as well, because everyone wants everyone's information, which is pretty funny if you think about. They're able to probably divulge locations because they're all, their targets are also looking for locations of other people or possibly them. I liked all that. I don't know. I just felt like we spent a bit long there, but it's a bit of a nitpick. But it was probably where it dragged the most if I had to choose a spot. Tons of really cool long takes and shots and different things. Just at random points throughout the movie. No crazy moments, but cool establishing shots of sort of the camera is like a long 30-second shot of the camera moving around, zooming in slowly, kind of just showing us where every one of the team members is in relation to a target. That happens a few times. I think it happened the first time with the first dude before they shoot him and stuff. There's some cool, well choreographed stuff like that in the movie. I appreciate it.
Talking about like the establishing of like locations and stuff. Did you feel like that the grading of some locations was absolute arse, and like that there was like significantly like I feel like in some locations they chucked on like a really strong film grain and like just bleached the scene. Did you also get that?
I did. There were some shots and scenes, where it felt like the color sort of just vanished significantly. The saturation went way down.
It happened. Like the ones that stick in my mind are like when they first get to the room in Athens, and then also like when he's back in Israel towards the end, like in like and he's like in an interview, like it's just devoid of color. And maybe if that's intentional, I don't know, but like it just felt like such a weird thing, considering how rich the majority of the film is.
It was weird. I'd like to think it was intentional, but I can't really pinpoint. You already remembered more spots than me, but I can't really. What's the consistency in the spots where it's used? Like if it's Israel or if it's just Israel, for example, that sort of makes sense. But then, as you say, it happens in Athens, and
Well, the only thing I could think is like, is it reflecting that Avner's trained? Because like by the end, I think in Israel it makes sense that perhaps he's trained, but like in Athens it wouldn't. Like it's like I'm not sure if it's. I don't know.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good point, though. I don't know what they're going for there exactly. It wasn't a huge point for me, but I noticed it. Okay, now in this week's edition of Zach potentially misunderstood something really obvious in a movie, where did Daniel Craig go in this movie? I feel like he vanished at some point in the third act. I never saw him again. Did he die?
That was my one thing. They cut from the big scene where they were getting chased by the ghosts. I think he died, but I would have liked.
He's the one that stays alive. Because the bomb maker dies, Kieran Hines' character dies, and then like the other one dies to the knife wound that's sitting in the park. But Daniel Craig survives. Yeah. But I think it's just that like after that operation where they try to kill Salame but then they can't. I think that they're probably just too hot at that point and they have to pretty much retire. So I think like that's why they just go their separate ways and we don't see Craig again because it's just he's too involved and like they just have to like pull away.
Right.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I would have kind of liked to see that then, like kind of the separation, like a kind of separation scene or something like that.
I agree because for me watching it felt like the movie forgot about him. Because we see him running away, and what you're saying makes sense, Jane. But then, I didn't get that. I felt like I missed something. It was sort of weird.
Maybe there was scheduling conflict with Bond, and he couldn't film the final third of the film.
Yeah, maybe. He's got to go and film the best movie of all time.
I think the Bond maker is the most tragic character in the film because of, he was, especially when it's revealed that he disassembles bombs. His job was to save lives, but then he's turned into one that kills people. And I think that, and then like the way like after each mission they kind of cut to him just like making random stuff and like he like this kind of like childlike demeanor that overcomes him and like he seems like a very innocent person. Like at the end when he's just in his workshop and he's doing that again, like I think it's such a sad scene, especially like when it's cutting between Bana tearing up his house and the bomb maker just enjoying himself. I think it's like one of the most like it's a really sad scene, a really hard one to watch.
Yeah, I agree with you. Especially when he's sort of, I think he's sort of the first catalyst because he's the first one in the team that sort of takes a real stand. Is like, yeah, bro, I'm not doing this. He doesn't jump on the train for that one mission. So in that way, it felt like sort of he was responsible for sort of pushing Avner over the edge too and becoming a bit, conscious of that.
The The guy who got the guy with the knife. Did he kill himself, or was he killed? Because I kind of saw it as he killed himself.
Ah.
Is that what you guys saw?
I didn't think that, but I mean, I also thought I thought it was implied that he'd been stabbed by someone else, but how would they know where he was? He was sort of in an obscure spot. Well, so possibly, yeah.
I thought he might have killed himself too, but like they say online, like they didn't take anything, and I think that's meant to imply that like it was someone else and they just didn't take him. But yeah, it does seem a bit.
Oh well, to me that makes it sound like he did kill himself because, especially beforehand, they're focusing on Craig talking to him about how he doesn't see himself and he's cooking all this food and everything like that. And he's in this somber mood, and then he gets killed in this random spot, and they don't take anything. So
yeah,
I think
it's a good point.
He did kill himself.
That's pretty subtle. Then I like that a lot. Yeah, I didn't get that. That's cool.
I'm just curious because I think like where the knife wound would be a detail as to like if he did or didn't. Because I mean, like you don't kill yourself by stabbing yourself in the chest. So if that's the case, then I don't think he killed himself. But like if it's somewhere else, then maybe.
Don't think they said, did they?
No.
Did you guys? I thought Avner was going to die at the end of this movie for sure. I just felt like that's sort of where his arc was going. I like how it ended up, but yeah, I don't know. That's how I felt as I was watching it.
Well, I think this is like based on a true story. So there's like true real people. Is that right?
Yeah, is Avner a real person? I'm not sure.
I doubt he's real. Just because of the way the Mossad works, I don't think they'd ever like reveal like an actual identity like that. Maybe they would. Who knows?
Oh, sure.
But like, I think he's based on the person that probably headed the operation. I doubt he's like Avner's actually like a real Avner.
Yeah, probably not. I was surprised they chose him for that operation. I mean, like Jeffrey Rush explains why, because he's unsuspecting, he's got contacts in Europe and all that stuff. But I don't know. Like I feel like you'd have to choose at least someone who's killed before. Did you all have any thoughts on the score? Because I sort of, as I was watching, I didn't know for sure. I assumed this was a John Williams score just because of Spielberg, and it was. Very different for Mr. John Williams, because it does. There are long periods of time, unless it sort of blended in for me and I'm forgetting. But I feel like there were lots of periods where there was no score, and there was that one tense track that played in. I don't know, that like low key beat. That was pretty. I liked it, but it was just sort of all that was there a lot of the time. Was there anything of note that you guys took from it?
I only really noticed the score in the. I only remember the score in the big like flashback scene. I thought that was really good. But is it like the theme that they used in that scene?
That's that theme has like vocals and stuff, right? It's like sort of.
Yeah.
Am I thinking of the right thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. But then, yeah, there was also that. Just any time, like they're setting up, I don't know, setting up a bomb or some shit, or they're moving in on an operation. There's like a little sort of tense underlying bit of music that plays. It plays like I don't know 80 times in the movie or something. It was quite an understated score for John, I think. For John, if I may call you that, Mr. Williams. So yeah, I don't know. It sort of surprised me from him, but I quite liked it. I want to say I would have wanted something a bit less subtle, but. And a bit more, not subtle, because that main theme, Fitzy, that you mentioned isn't subtle, but something a bit more invasive, something that's there, that's more present. But I don't know. I don't know if that would have made the movie any better.
While we're talking about the flashback, I don't like it. I think it's one of the lesser parts of the film. I think what happened, in Munich, that should have been covered at the start. I think I understand why and like how they slowly reveal information, like like it's kind of good, but like I think constantly cutting back to Munich kind of drags the film a bit. I think what happened there should have been covered at the start and then left alone, and also like at the end, like I don't know why you'd ever intercut a sex scene with like ultra violence, like it's just weird, mate.
Oh yeah, that was terrible. Yeah,
but like yeah, so like yeah, but I think like the flashbacks I didn't entirely like. I liked what they added to the film, but I just felt like they were out of place and it should have just been covered at the start and then left alone.
I totally agree. I was confused. And Well, yeah, because I like the scenes themselves, and I think they're cool, like shots and stuff, and cool action pieces. But yeah, we just keep cutting back to them, and yeah, 100%. I felt like it was already pretty extensively covered at the start, and we get little more bits and pieces here and there that sort of don't add a lot. And at this point, like I mentioned, I do think the movie's generally well paced, but I don't know, I would have restructured some things there when you've got a runtime like this that's pretty long, and yeah, you're covering the same stuff again. And in the actual moment during the sex scene when he's sort of envisioning Munich happening, I was confused. I didn't understand what he was looking at exactly because obviously I knew about Munich, and at that point I think I'd forgotten what the characters at the start had looked like. So I was like, who are these people? Mainly because I was thinking if Eric Banner's imagining this had to have been somewhere he was. You know what I mean? It was just sort of weird. It felt like he was imagining it as if he was there. Maybe this is just a me thing. I don't know, but it was odd. It was odd to me. I was confused of but he wasn't at Munich. Is this Munich? I don't know, because it sort of was presented as if he was reliving it, sort of thing, when he wasn't even there.
I just think it was showing that he's kind of been infected by the trauma, and it's he's not going to escape it. I didn't really see it as that, but as if he was reliving, as if he was there. But I understand how you could see it as that.
Yeah. No, I get. No, you're totally right. That's totally what it's meant to be.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you could have chosen something else to kind of present that.
Do you have any trivia for us, Vinny?
I do. Thank you. Actually, I'm here going, what the hell haven't I done? Here's some trivia for you if you're into production. The time span between the start of production to the release date in December of 2005 was less than 6 months.
Oh,
pretty
what?
impressive, especially considering I don't know. It looks like this movie was shot on location in a lot of places.
I mean, even if I think it'd have to be, because to build these sets would be incredibly time consuming.
Yeah, no, and everywhere they seemed authentic too.
Yeah. For about 6 months from production to the release, that's insane.
Huge quick turnaround. If you imagine maybe it took 3 months to shoot, yeah, quick edit, Jesus. Maybe that's why we got the sex scene. They're like, oh shit, I don't know. We can have another scene that he's imagining. We've got this extra footage of the terrorist attack. Throw it in here. Oh yeah, I actually did. Oh, never mind. Jan was talking about it earlier. I had trivia about it and I forgot. The ending of the film conflicts with the real life one, where the Mossad agent successfully bombed the mastermind of the Munich killings, along with his 4 bodyguards and 3 innocent bystanders. They also injured 16 innocent bystanders. Okay, right. So, moral of the story is they actually got the last guy when him and Daniel Craig are doing their stealth thing. In the movie, they were caught really awkwardly by someone who just walked up to them. When they're in a bush or something and some dude just walks up and is like, yo, there's people right there lying there. What the
he
hell?
was patrolling and then he heard the click of the gun.
Oh, nice. Again, subtle details that Zach definitely misses every time.
I mean, they pretty clearly present that's how he saw them. I mean, because it goes from Bana flicking the thing and to that guy hearing it. I mean,
way to rub it in.
That wasn't really subtle, mate.
Didn't notice that.
This was at the 2 hour and 10 minute mark though, so you're pretty tuned out by this point.
Yeah, there was 50 minutes of Munich flashbacks still to come.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, I don't know why that choice would have been made. I don't know. How does that add to the movie necessarily?
Yeah, in the text that appears at the end, it does tell us that they eventually got Islam. Whether it was a different operation or whether this one was completely fictional. Does it specify in the trivia or?
Oh, good point. The trivia implies here, because the way it says conflicts with the real life one, implies that they got him at that operation, but not necessarily. If they got him eventually, yeah, maybe it doesn't.
I thought the 2 gun kills were really great. The guy they killed first, he's carrying his groceries, and then they shoot him, and the milk hits the floor and everything, and smashed on the ground. And the female assassin that they go to some other country to find, and then they have the little things that they screw up, and then those just seem really, they're really brutal, because they were just really like simple and like grounded. I mean, the film was very grounded, so it was like made it really like impactful.
Yeah, totally. I really liked the killing of the female one too. When Avner goes to like cover her up, and then Daniel Craig's like, "Yeah, nah, bro, let's not. Who cares?" You know, that sort of goes back to what you were saying earlier, Fitzy, about the conflicts between the characters. Yeah, no, I liked both those two.
Wasn't it the
Yeah.
accountant, not Craig? That.
Oh, either way, Craig probably would have done that too.
Yeah, probably.
Knowing his character. Yeah.
I think the face-to-face killings are less sensationalized than the bombings. So I think what you're saying about what Liam was saying about them being more grounded was
How do you mean sensationalized?
Because the bombings are kind of like, it's like, they're big set pieces, and there's a massive build up in tension, and it's quite large in scale, whereas these are kind of just, it's a very personal confrontation, and it happens, it's over, and then we kind of see regret instantaneously.
Yeah, they've had those ones did feel the most like spy movie, if you will.
I wonder if the production was so short because Spielberg was also doing War of the Worlds in 2005.
Your favourite movie? I want to watch it. I've seen 15 minutes of it on TV once.
That's all you need to see.
I've seen it all, apparently.
Yeah.
Is there anything about the ending, like, like it sort of just exemplifies everything we've talked about thematically about the movie, I think. Oh, well, no, we didn't really talk about specifically the character choice of Avner to not return home. And that's sort of just a nice, I don't know, that's a solid, makes sense end cap for his journey. He's just sort of can't face that. He can't face what he's done for his homeland. He's like, yeah, nah, bro, I'd rather not.
I think
so that made sense.
Like at the start of the film, doesn't like Jeffrey Rush call him like a Yuki or whatever it is, like a Jew that was born away from Israel or something like that. Like he spent his time right, and like he kind of defends it, saying, "No, I'm not. I'm from here." So then his choice at the end to remain away from Israel is kind of I think it's
it's a good point.
Shows good character progression.
Yeah, for sure.
His arc was complete. I'm going to bring back Arc on the show. We haven't talked about it in a while.
Oh no, let it die.
I think the image of like the Munich terrorist coming out with the sock in his head, like whatever like that mask is so terrifying. Like it's just an image that like sears into your mind, especially like when it's in the black and white. Like that's just like even from like my first time watching it, like that is an image that I retained all the way up until this time. Like that is just like burnt into me, and like it's like I love it because of what it is. Like, really? It's such a like terrifying just frame.
Yeah, no, I mean, it wasn't imprinted in my brain in the same way, but dude, yeah, that sounds like some shit in my nightmares, 100%. Oh, it looks like it rather. The movie is long. Did any of you guys have any, I don't know, comments about the runtime? Did you feel like it was paced well? Like I said, I did feel like it was pretty solidly paced for the most part, but
yeah, I thought it was long, but I don't know how. I don't know what I would cut.
Munich flashbacks.
Yeah.
But other than that, though, yeah, I agree with you. I don't really know.
I think just like shaving a few minutes off each operation, not even a few minutes, probably a minute off each or something like that would save something.
Yeah, get it down to like, in the 220s. But I mean, it is just sort of, it's objectively in what we consider is sort of on the longer end. And yeah, I mean, considering we've sort of covered all our main points about this movie pretty fast, there isn't, I don't know if there's a whole lot to dissect in the story, because, I like what the movie has to say, but it's not like what it has to say sort of requires its runtime, you know what I mean? Because it's not the most, original shit ever, but I still enjoy, themes like that.
Well, I think like the reason that I like the scene at Louis' house is because it's a break from the action, because it's not repetitive in like the way that we're presented with the same thing, but it's the same structure in each action of like the reconnaissance, the build up to something goes wrong a bit, and then it happens, and and there's a slight fall in the tension. So like I think that's why like breaks, like when he goes back to where was the child born? I don't know, when he goes to see his wife and the child, or like when he goes to Louis' house, I think they're appreciated breaks from that kind of repetitive like tone. Although I don't mind it because it's still entertaining to watch. I think it's welcome,
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, it is different. In another way, though, I wouldn't have minded if it maybe Yeah, I see what you're saying. Even if it doubled down on it for me, I think I would have liked that equally as much. If it's like this movie is entirely in the field all the time, it's constantly tense. That would have been a sort of a different movie in a sense, but would have been if it's sort of always tense and always gritty and grounded without these breaks, maybe would have been a different experience. I don't know. Don't know if it would have been any better.
I think the repetitiveness of it is interesting because like I think typically it'd show like if another movie was to handle this I think like they present the characters with a real like it becomes like monotonous to the characters and they kind of just like it becomes a uniform operation. They just kind of get better at it and like it just becomes like disassociated with what's happening. But the fact that there's it's rather impassioned every time, then like rather like, there's questions about what they're doing, how they're doing it, why they are. I think it's interesting that it never gets easier for them. Whereas I think a lesser movie would have just shown them getting more proficient at it.
Yep, 100% ditto. All right, what are we going to give Munich out of 10, Fitzy?
I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Strong Spielberg. 7 out of. I liked it. I enjoyed its themes and stuff, and the cast of characters I thought were pretty well cast, and yeah.
Excellent, Jaden.
8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to summarize what I've said, but like I just think it's
No, that's all right. That's all right. I'll give it a 7 2, but like, yeah, I mean, I could also be an 8. Like, I'm pretty 50-50 on that, so I'll just choose one. 7 just feels more right because I do think there wasn't a whole lot as this, what we talked about sort of shows. There wasn't a whole lot I was like, yo, that was sick. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of, there's really good characters. The themes are really cool. They're well explored. It's just a lot of that kind of talk with this movie where it's like, yeah, that was really tense. That was really good. Nothing sort of excels necessarily for me. And the runtime brings it down a little bit because I'm a fussy pot like that. So I'll give it a 7, but I'm pretty close between a 7 and 8. I recommend people check it out for sure. All right, let's get into some incredibly exhilarating news chat. The return of news chat. The long-awaited return. I'm sure people are stoked for the return of this segment. We got some Deadpool news for people that like Deadpool. I still haven't seen the second one, but Deadpool 3 was officially confirmed. Is now a part of the MCU, which is, I mean, I think that's a pretty big story right there. It's still going to be R-rated. It's still going to be the Deadpool you know and love if you love Deadpool, I guess. So yeah, the question sort of comes into how are they going to handle having an R-rated thing as part of the MCU? I know Disney Plus is sort of doing this thing now where they've got, what do they call it? They call it stars or some shit. I don't know. It's like this extra different category within Disney Plus where they can put R-rated stuff. So, I mean, that makes sense. But have you guys both seen? Have you seen Deadpool's 1 and 2?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything in either of those movies that, not that we're comic experts here necessarily, but anything in those movies that necessarily conflict with the MCU or wouldn't make it work already? Because you know how X-Men has their own version of Quicksilver. Is it like something? Is there anything like that where there's characters and played by different actors and it's wouldn't work? I assume not.
No. Well, sorry, Josh. Yeah, that's right. Josh Brolin plays Cable, and he's that's right. Yeah. So I mean, you can guarantee there's going to be like at least 3 jokes about
that. At least 3, yeah, probably.
I just think it's going to be interesting because like we discussed earlier about like the MCU has like this kind of uniform tone, so I think it's going to be interesting how they're going to fit Deadpool into that because like I wonder if they're going to make it conform to the rest of the aesthetic, like the rest of the feel of the MCU, if they're going to allow it to be that little bit on its own.
More zany.
Yeah.
I trust them. I think it'll remain true to what it is, which I think if you keep the R rating, you may as well, like, what is there to really change? You know what I mean? Like, if obviously if you want to try and force in a PG rating, then at that point the movie's identity is just going to change entirely. But if you got the R rating, that means you're going to have all the jokes and all the language, etc. I don't know, everything, the violence. Is it violent? I can't really remember. All the stuff that already makes it R. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they would change it, how they would change it. I mean, I guess now Deadpool's going to show up in like other random, Avengers movies, and he's just going to start dropping the F-bomb. That'd be sweet, But yeah, that's it for News Chat this week. I mean, do we want to talk about... I mean, Chris Evans, they did really say. He was reportedly going to rock up again as Captain America, which, I mean, it's pretty obvious. I'm sure he will at some point. Whether that's now or not, I don't know. He denies it. Sure. Is there anything to really say?
I mean, to me, Chris Evans is Captain America. So, I mean, no matter how much they change it to whoever they want it to be, whether they make it Falcon or Bucky or whoever, I feel like Chris Evans is when the world thinks of that, I think Chris Evans. I think it returns inevitable. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think so too. I mean, hey, we're in a universe where Tobey Maguire is going to be Spider-Man again. And you're telling me Chris Evans playing Captain America isn't plausible? No, anything's possible in the MCU.
Are you guys gonna watch WandaVision?
I've watched the first 2 episodes. I watched them last night. Yeah, they are. It's super entertaining and super weird and unique and out there. Yeah, it's cool. I like it because it's literally just I don't know. So far, it's just literally a sitcom, which is weird. But I don't know. They do cool things, and it feels like you're trying to figure out what exactly is actually happening. It's cool. Anyways, now it's time for our highlights of the week. What have we been watching, Jaden?
Go to Liam. I haven't chosen yet. I forgot about that.
No worries at all. Liam, I said you first, obviously.
I saw a promising young woman in theaters at ratings. And
oh wow, cool.
Yeah, it was really good.
I'm gonna see it tonight.
Oh, eh? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think it tackles the subject matter in a very kind of bold. But do you know anything about it at all? Okay. Well,
I mean, yeah, no, not really. Vaguely.
Okay. Well, it tackles its subject matter in pretty, unafraid, bold kind of way. It just does what it wants to do and doesn't hold back in what it's saying. And Carey Mulligan is really great in it. She carries the tone and the emotion of the film really well, especially as it develops and you learn more. And one of the best for 2020 for me, along with Bad Education and other stuff. So, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. You did really good not saying anything spoilery, so thank you. I appreciate it.
No worries.
I'm giving a thumbs up right now, but you can't. Yeah, you can't see. Do you want me to go, Jane, or are you?
No, whatever you want.
Do you want me to go? I'll go then because I like myself. I'll talk about Sound of Metal. Fitzy's talked about it. It's a really good movie. I recommend people check it out. That's sort of the core of it, It's about this, if you don't remember, it's about this drummer who goes deaf, essentially. That's sort of really all you need to know. And I enjoyed the movie a lot. Riz Ahmed's great. Echoing all the regular sentiments about it. It's pretty hard to dislike, in my opinion. The story lacks, on a character level, a little bit of drama from moment to moment for me to be, singing its praises to the heavens, you know what I mean? But I still think it's a really great movie. Pretty unique, especially sort of being exposed to the deaf community and the sign language, things like that. I don't know, it's something I sort of just overlook in everyday life, so I appreciated that as well in it. So check it out. It's on Amazon Prime Video.
My turn.
Go for it.
I watched Inside Out finally after 5 years.
Oh, you hadn't seen it before?
Nah.
Oh yeah.
And I was a bit disappointed. I still liked it, but I think I watched it coming off the back of Soul. I watched it as a double feature. I watched it right after. So I think going into Inside Out, after hearing nothing but, glory and, everyone singing its praises and stuff, I was expecting, I don't know why, because no one ever really said it, but I was expecting a more mature experience. I was expecting something more like to Soul, whereas, I think Inside Out is undeniably got a younger target audience. Well, I think, both the target audience for both is obviously children, I think. Not children, but, kids. But I think, like, the secondary audience, for Soul is a bit more mature than what the secondary audience for Inside Out was. And I just think, like, and I think because of that, like, it was a lot more childish than I was expecting. I don't know. I think it was so good. I think it's like a 7 out of 10 film, but, like, I think there's a lot of over simplification of stuff, and I really appreciate the complexities of Soul over what Inside Out was,
Yeah. I don't know what the hell I've got it as my rating on any of the apps or whatever. I've got no clue, but I watched it when it came to theaters, and I just remember liking it. I wouldn't sing its praises either. I didn't think it was, Pixar's best or anything like that. Is it kind of, I don't even know. Do people really love it these days?
Well, like, that was kind of like the interpretation I got, because I feel like like, it was kind of like not world, but, like, I think it was well known, like, the fact that Pixar gave emotions was kind of like a thing, like I think people were singing, like, this is brilliant the way they did that, but, like, I just didn't feel like it was. Sorry, yeah.
You're right. I thought it was kind of, in my brain. Again, I do want to watch it again, but in my brain, it's sort of mid-tier Pixar.
Certainly is.
In terms of, if I'm trying to think of, I think so. Sorry, Fitzy, are we going to jump in about it? I thought did we cut you off?
Oh no, I was just saying that I think it's generally, like, well received these days.
Yeah.
I think critics like it a lot as well, so maybe that's where Jaden's perception of the mature thing is. But no, I mean, adults liked it, I think. But
okay.
I think coming off the back of Soul hurt my perception of it. I think that's part of it as well. I think had I not done it as a double feature, I might have liked it more as well. But yeah.
I know when we talked about Soul last week, Fitzy, you mentioned that you liked Inside Out's aesthetic more. That's what you said, right? I'm not mistaken.
yeah, I mean, I haven't seen it in a long time, maybe not, but I might rewatch it because you might have seen it. I'm rewatching some of the Pixar before my Disney Plus runs out in a couple weeks. So.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, Inside Out seems like a very colourful, kind of expressive film to me. I guess Soul is that as well in some ways, but the Soul colour palettes felt more like like it was less pleasing to me, just on a subjective level.
Yeah, right. I mean, I get what you mean about the colours. I think I much prefer Soul's, like the character designs and the designs of the actual, I don't know, what do you call them, the souls themselves, I guess, and like the what they call the caretakers, like the 2D things, whatever they were. I really liked those compared to the designs of the emotions, personally.
Yeah, and like I prefer like the look of like the before world to that of the brain. I don't know. It's
Yeah, same. Yeah.
I really didn't like the caretaker things.
Yeah, I thought the caretakers were a bit weird.
Oh yeah.
They were just
really
to me. I don't think it was lazy, but it was like just kind of. It wasn't like it felt weird to have these things as kind of the secondary type of design or whatever in the underworld. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I get that. They sort of are quite. I can see why they'd be polarizing. They're quite unique. But I like them a lot, especially when they interact with the New York environment, and you can see how they're sort of animated it in 2D versus 3D. I thought that was quite cool. But yeah, I get it.
When Terry goes
into the brick wall, I think he does.
Yeah.
I hated Terry so much. like not just as like a character, like you always did like not meant to like the character bit just because like what it is, but like it just annoyed me so much, and like I think it annoyed me more than it should have. I think that's the thing. Yeah.
Do you mean
like the voice?
The voice, yeah, the voice, dude. I couldn't stand the voice.
Right. But do you mean like in an intentional way, like they were trying to get you annoyed? Or you mean
no, like I know they're intentionally trying to get me annoyed, but I think I was more annoyed than they intended for me to be.
I wasn't really annoyed by him, honestly.
Yeah.
I thought he was goofy. I kind of liked him, honestly. As always, now we hand the show over to you with our question of the show. Last week we asked you, what are your most anticipated movies coming up in 2021? Andy said, bang on the money with the first episode of the year. Hell yeah, lads. Thank you, Andy. The most anticipated film of 2021. Time to get the obvious out of the way. Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch. Surely. Yo, we've talked about this. I don't know if we've actually done it in news chat or if it's come up just in our pre-episode discussions or whatever, Jaden, but what is this movie other than Wes Anderson? Do we know?
I think it's in like a publishing company, I think, in like France, obviously. I don't know. I think it's kind of like a few different tales about like life, but like in like a Wes Anderson type style.
Who's the person that does Fantastic Mr. Fox, or who
Wes
did
Anderson.
Cool. Okay, I know I'm thinking of the right person then.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I thought it might have been confusing people. Okay. Oh yeah, and Isle of Dogs. I want to watch that really bad. Luke says, looking forward to Black Widow because why not? And I haven't really been paying attention to what new movies are coming out. I have a feeling it won't be that good, but oh well. I don't know, Luke. I think there's a fair bit out there, but we'll see as stuff comes out and stuff. That bloody HBO Max lineup's pretty stacked. What are our answers? My answer is The Many Saints of Newark. Very excited about this movie. It's about damn time. It was originally coming out like December 2019, then it got pushed to like I think like September 2020 or something like that. It just kept getting pushed. It was completely shot, to my understanding, about a year ago. So I'm very excited to see it. What about you guys?
Yeah, Many Saints of Newark and still Doom, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, TV show and director. Just like not a. It's funny. I don't have like a. My thing isn't something that's like from something I don't know. It's just like a prequel for something I already love and from a director I already love. So.
And you're a fan of like the Dune world and the and like the production and the history of all that already, right? So.
Oh yeah, I like the concept of Dune and everything.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Welcome to my world. I don't anticipate real films. I anticipate franchises and shit. So, Fast and Furious 9. Anyone? Jaden?
I don't know. It's a few good things. I think Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho is probably what I'm most keen for. But also, like, Baz Luhrmann's got a new film coming out this year. Supposedly, I don't know if he'll actually be able to get it out this year. But like, I love Baz Luhrmann so much. I think his style is brilliant. Like, I'm really keen for that film as well. Like, which is the Elvis Presley film. So yeah.
Oh yeah, the Tom Hanks one?
No, the one with Austin Butler. Oh yeah, Tom Hanks isn't. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I was like, wait, there's two Elvis movies?
Yeah, I forgot Tom Hanks was in it. Yeah. But yeah, cool. So Elvis and Last Night in Soho is what I'm keen for, I guess.
I thought Damien Chazelle had a movie too. It's got like a stacked cast, I think. Brad Pitt's in it, I think. Sorry, I'm going off the top of my head. I've just remembered it. I don't know what the hell it is or what it's about, but hell yeah, I'm going to be there. He's such a, I don't know, God, he's such a polarizing figure for me because I've either like loved his work or not liked his work very much. So I don't know what I'll get this time.
Oh, yeah. You love La La Land and didn't like Whiplash.
I hate Whiplash.
It's coming out next year. Movie. Babylon's coming.
2022.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. My apologies. Okay. Cool. All right.
Was
That's
it,
a bit further away then.
Did you dislike La La Land, or was it just you just didn't mind it?
No, it's just not for me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you don't
That's all it
like
is.
The musical element, like the fact that it's.
Yeah. Exactly. Musicals just don't do it for me. I just can't. I appreciate that. And I heard him talk about this in an interview or something. How you sort of want to the opening number of La La Land when they're on the freeway there, and how he basically inserted that in the script to sort of just tell the audience right away what the movie's going to be. And I really appreciate that because that's such an accurate thing for me. Because the second I saw that, I was like, wow, that was really impressive. But also, I'm probably not going to like this movie. So it is what it is. And then I also thought First Man was mediocre, but yeah.
All right. Totally forgot about First Man.
But Fitzy, I mean, I love nerding out with you. I feel like we do this once every few months, but like, Michael Gandolfini is going to play Tony Soprano, and we're going to watch that in 3 months. I'm so excited for that.
Yep. Where were we able to watch it? All come to theaters or
theaters here?
Oh, really? Oh, that's epic.
Yeah.
No, I can't wait to see all the freaking younger characters and Sopranos.
Oh yeah, it's going to be sick. And then and God, Ray Liotta's in it, and John Bernthal. God, I love those. Anyway, sorry. Let's we'll save that. Thank you everyone for watching this week's episode of Cinema Effect. We appreciate you all tuning in. Fitzy, what are we watching next week?
We are watching Infernal Affairs. You can find that one on Netflix. It's what inspired the Departed from Scorsese, and it's a Hong Kong action film.
Andy, get excited.
We're doing it for you, Andy. Yeah. I wonder how spoiled the story is for me by The Departed. Probably almost completely. But yeah, it is what it is. Whatever. I've got that expectation, so it's okay. Anyway, thank you very much for boys. Thank you, boys, for joining me. For the boys, thank you. Yep, you got it. Thank you very much. All right, we'll catch you all next week. Have a great one, and goodbye.